Woolworths is a combination of a food and clothing retailer founded in Cape Town in 1931 by Max Sonnenberg. It has pioneered organic food retailing in South Africa and has significant interests in Australia. It has a market cap of 62.8 billion rand, price to earnings ratio of 21.8 and a dividend yield of 2.7%. Where do we start with this one?
Well, I think interestingly, where we looked at Shoprite probably is in the lower LSM, segments of the market, whereas Woolies is more an aspirational brand. So you get what you pay for. You're going to walk in and you're going to overpay seemingly for some groceries, bearing in mind that there's a massive clothing element here too, which is a lot more profitable than the foods business. I think they sell about 17 billion in terms of their foods business, of which they make profits of just over $1 billion rand. So it's an interesting foods business. Probably, what they've done is they've bought back a lot of the franchises, which I think is a positive development. But I think most importantly, when making an investment decision in Woolies is this aspirational? Are you going to get a new subset of clientele through the middle classes who say, I want to be associated with this brand and its quality?
Chris is looking at that share price. There's no stopping the stock at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, as Sasha says, this is a hugely aspirational brand. The emerging middle class loves this particularly. There is nothing like it on the South African on the South African retail front. It's a hybrid. It's basically food and clothing, but it's also got financial services in there, which is a lot of people don't recognise just how good that is and how clean the book is. And I think that's going to be big for the future when we get into a new economic cycle. But now this one really is looking exceptionally good.
And ever since I mentioned their mashed potatoes on the show, I have not been able to find any mashed potatoes in Woolworths whatsoever.
Oh, no.
So, Sasha, I'm going to actually stop talking about the mashed potatoes because I've obviously spoken it up.
Yeah.
And now they're nowhere to be seen.
Sold out, yeah.
Absolutely. So we've got to understand the power of hot stocks.
Yeah, that's interesting, Bron, because they actually know about the shopping experiences two out of every 3 shoppers. So you walk in, and the first question somebody asks you at the till is, do you have a Woolies or My School card? So you present it to them and they know exactly what it is that you're buying. So do, coincidentally, the people at Discovery, so they can tell whether you've been cheating and eating too many chuckles.
So you mean they definitely picked up on the mashed potato little soliloquy I gave on the Hot Stocks show, and since then we
you must maybe the whole stock's in your freezer there, Bronwyn. But I think with also management, and Ian Moy has brought something I think quite different to this group, maybe given a little bit more energy that was lacking a little bit. And they're suddenly at the top, not only in terms of people top of quality, but at the top of people's buy lists again. And I think that part's important.
Chris, Woolworths and the management team seem to be taking the entire operation in the right direction. I know we're talking about the grocery element here, but just to put in there that the clothing element also seems to be gaining traction in South Africa. Clothing
until very recently was always very solid and dependable, but without necessarily being particularly fashionable. That's all changed now in the past few years, and now they're getting a whole new generation of people coming in and buying stuff which was always good quality, but now they see it as fashionable. So they've got that, and we also sometimes forget about Country Road, which is in a different league to the normal type of clothing, and that's very, very much more upmarket. Australian operation, but we had a lot of outlets in South Africa as well. Ian Moore, the CEO, used to run that operation. He knows it intimately, and that's doing well. And again, that's another rand hedge element coming into play here.
Do we go hot or not on Woolworths? Do you want to add anything else, Sasha?
Yeah, I think that clothing part is very, very important because, the high-end clothing brands are almost kind of semi-luxury. So they almost fall into that luxury category. And again, that appeals to people's aspirational. It's much better to say I'm wearing a pair of Trenery or Country Road pants than a pair of Woolies pants. And they charge accordingly, but you can't lie on the quality. So they're going to be rolling out bigger model food stores, a la the one at the Nickelway, if you've been there. And more importantly, bigger, better brands in terms of the clothing operations. So they've got some big growth push here, and you might see that they have revenue growth comfortably ahead of their peers.
Chris, stop looking so serious. It looks as though this is a matter of life and death in your book. Hot or not on Woolworths?
Look, if there's anything that's even hotter than ShopRite, and that was very hot, this is even hotter. No, this is just so hot it's not true.
Well, there you go. Something to smile about. Hot or not, Sasha?
Hot.